In this video, we are going to build this amazing template with HTML, CSS and JavaScript. We are going to add this beautiful page animation with GSAP and make the complete website smooth and attractive. We start with the home section. Here we have a big text align center at the viewport. In the background, we have a SVG image that interacts with the mouse movement. When we start or reload the page, we have this beautiful text animation created with GSAP. When I scroll down, we have a smooth scroll animation. Here, we have a simple image with a scale animation. When we move on, we have some important text and then we have an infinite brand scroll animation. After that, we have a recent post with GSAP animation and hover effect. At the end, we have a beautiful footer. We are going to build this complete template really from scratch. We set up the HTML, CSS, and then add a GSAP animation to this template. So before wasting your too much time, let's get started. So now let's start really from the scratch. Here we have a Visual Studio Code. Inside that, I have a folder called production and I have two files inside it. First is index.html and second is style.css to style the HTML template. So in the index.html, here we add an exclamation mark and create a simple HTML5 snippet, just like this. And then specify title here, production house. That's upon you. You can specify any name to this template. And here we say link style.css. And here we add a link tag and then link this style.css file. And now inside this body here, we're simply going to add a comment and start developing the template. So we first add here a div wrapper. So we just call here a wrapper. We create here a comment and add here wrapper text, something like this. And then we close this just down here. Let's create here a wrapper for this template. So we create a simple div here. So if you type div here, press tab, you are going to have a div tag. Or you can just type here a dot and specify a class name to this div. So if I pass here dot o hyphen container and press tab, then this is going to create a division tag with the class container. Now, this is going to be the wrapper for this template. And inside this wrapper, we are going to have a header. So what we are going to do is we are going to copy this comment just like this and paste that here. And this is going to be the header. Now, let's copy this, paste that down here. And this is going to be the closing header. So we pass here forward slash, just like this, to indicate this is the closing tag. Now, inside this, we are going to add the header of the template. But before we add header, we are going to set up the style.css. So let me save this file and back to the style.css. And here, we are going to first set up this template. So if I open my finished website, then you will notice here, we need to first add this beautiful font, few background colors, gradients, and so on. So we are going to build all these inside the style.css. So we need to first add the font family inside this template. So the very first thing you need is to search for Google font and click on this Google font website. And from here, you have to search for a font called Intertype. This one. And you have to get this font. So just click on this get font. Click on this get embedded code and click on this import statement. Just copy this import statement right from here. Don't copy this style. Just copy this import statement back to your template and paste that import statement here. Something like this. The font is now successfully imported in your style sheet. What you have to do is you have to just use this font family. But before we do that, we need to add few things here. We need to first select all the elements and specify box sizing to it. So we first remove all the margin. So we pass margin 0. Then we pass padding 0. So we remove all margin and padding from all the HTML elements. And then we add box sizing, which is border box. Just after that, we select the body and then specify font family here. But before we specify font family and colors, we're going to create here few variables. As you know, you can create different variables in CSS with colon root. Right here, you can create different variables which you can access throughout the style.css file. So let's first create a primary color or a primary black color. So if I pass here double dash black hyphen color, then this is going to be a variable in CSS. And then you can pass here your color. So let's suppose that if I pass here a black color, then I can use this variable to access this hex value. I can do the same for white color as well. So if I create here a variable called white color and pass hex value to it, then I can access this hex value with this variable name. So let's create few variables here, which we are going to use throughout this template. So let's create gray color, and then we create some gradient colors here. So I'm going to copy and paste few gradient colors here, something like this. You can notice here we have a primary gradient color and we pass a linear gradient to this variable, and do the same for the second gradient as well, but with some different colors. So once we have gradient colors and a color, we need fonts. So just down here inside this root, right down here, we add a comment and say fonts to indicate this is a font variable. So let's start with -- font family. Now that's about you. You can specify any name to this variable. Just for now, I'm going to say font family, pass here colon, and you have to pass font face name because we already imported this font face inside this style.css. So I'm just going to pass here a single quote and say intertight, and the fallback value is going to be this font. I can use this font with this variable name. So inside this body here, I can simply specify font family, and then inside a var function, we can access any variable of this style.css. So here I'm going to access the font family variable. So now we successfully specify this font to all the body. Then we specify color. The color is going to be a black color. So we call var function and then pass a black color. Then we're also going to add a background color. Now, if you want, you can create this background color inside these variables. I'm just going to pass here a hex value. And at the end, I'm going to pass overflow x, which is going to be hidden to hide the horizontal scroll bar, just like this, right from the template. Now, just after that, once we successfully set up this style.css, let's save this file and back to the index.html. And here we are going to start this header. So inside this header, right here, inside this division tag, we create here a header tag. And then to add ID to this header, we just call here hash and then specify ID header. When I press tab, this is going to create a header tag with the ID header. Now I can add a class to it. Class is going to be inline padding. Now currently I don't have this class inside this style.css. We're going to create this class in that style.css after a few seconds. Just for now, let's build this header. Simply create h1 heading tag and say production. Let's start the development server and execute this index.html file in the browser. So for that, I'm using the extension called live server, this one. I already have this live server extension to execute the .html file in the browser. So if you don't have this extension, then just install this extension so you can follow along with me. I already have this. So I'm just going to right click here and click on this open with live server option. You're going to have this option when you install live server extension in the VS Code. I'm going to click on it and you can see I'm going to have the text inside this template. Now let me close this, and this is my template and this is the finished website. Let me toggle this. I'm going to get rid of this h1 heading tag. This is just to show you the result. Here we create a navigation menu. So we call here a nav tag with the class scroll now. And then inside this scroll now, we create a division tag with some classes. So we just call here dot to create a division tag with the class now title. Along with that, we're also going to add a class to this div, which is flex. So we call here dot flex. When I press tab, we're going to have two classes to this div. One is nav title and second is flex. Inside this, we're going to have an image. So we call here img tag with the source attribute. Inside this alt, we specify logo alt text. Now inside this source, we're going to pass the template asset. Now currently, I don't have any asset inside this template. Don't worry, you can download all this asset from the link provided in the description. You have to just join the Patreon page and you can easily access and download the assets of this template. So I'm simply going to select here dot and then pass assets. And inside that we have an image SVG export to this image. And I'm going to select that image here. Then I'm going to save the changes. So here we have the image. You can see we have this SVG image here. And then I'm going to add here h1 heading tag with the text production. We're also going to add some class to this h1, which is title, just like this. Just out of that, just out of this div, right down here, we add a UL tag, unordered list with the class now links. And then here we have different li tags. So we call li, and inside this li, we have an anchor tag. Just for now, I'm going to specify hash here to this link, and to this anchor tag, we specify text home. We're also going to add here a class called active to indicate this is the active class, and then create the li tag again. Inside that, we have an anchor tag, and this time I'm not going to add the class, but I'm going to add text here work. Let me duplicate this 2 more times. So I'm going to press Shift, Alt, and down arrow. So when I press Shift, Alt, and down, I'm going to duplicate this statement, and then I'm going to say here about and contact. Save the changes. So here we have different navigation items, and just after this UL tag, here I'm going to create a division tag with the class hamburger menu. We have this hamburger menu when the viewport is less than 768 pixel. So if we have a mobile viewport, then I'm going to display the hamburger menu instead of the navigation links. So here we add different span tags just like this. And to duplicate this, as you know, you have to press Shift, Alt, and down arrow. Now your header is now completely ready. Just back to the style.css and start creating the style for this header. So just back to the style.css, we need to first create some global styles for this template. So it's easy to access any style with the class. Create here a comment just like this and add here a dash and say global style. Just down here, I'm going to add here inline padding and then specify here padding inline 120 pixel. Just out of that, as you can see, this is going to be the class of my header. You can see we already have this class to this header. So if I save the changes, so we have the left and right padding to this header. Just out of that, we call here a flex class and then specify display flex to it, and then align items is going to be center and gap is going to be 10 pixel. When I save the changes, we are going to have this effect to this header because we have this flex class to this division tag. We're also going to select the anchor tags. So select all the anchor tags just like this, and then specify text decoration none. This is going to remove the border right from this text. And we also need to remove these dots right from the list. We'll do that later. Just for now, I'm going to pass here color, which is going to be the black color. So we call here a var function and then call the variable black color. And at the end, we select the image tag and we need to pass here max width, which is going to be 100 pixel of the viewport. So the image don't have to be more than the 100% of the viewport. Now when I save the changes, just out of that, we also need some global classes and some button and title styling to this section. So let's create that as well. So here, I'm going to copy this comment right from here and paste that right down here. And I'm going to add here a comment and say button and title style. Now keep in mind, we are going to use classes to add different styling to this template. So we use here a class called inline padding to add padding to this template. We're doing the same for buttons and titles as well. So what we are going to do is here, we create a class called primary title. Now we are going to specify this primary title to the home section and other section of the template. So just for now, leave this section as it is and move to the next section. So let's leave everything as it is, and I'm going to copy this section and paste it just down here. And this time I'm going to change this title to header style, something like this. So now from here, we are going to start the styling of the header. Now first, as you know, we will select that header ID and add padding block, which is going to be 20 pixel. So the padding block is going to add a top and bottom padding to this header. You can notice. Then we add width, which is 100%. Then we add position, which is sticky. We make the header sticky to the top. So we call position sticky. And then top is going to be 0 to make the sticky work. And Z index is going to be 100. Let me save the changes. Just after that, I'm going to select the scroll now, this class. So I call here dot scroll now, and make sure you first select the header just like this. And inside that you have the scroll now. So select that. And then here we specify display flex, justify content space between. Now save the changes. You can see we have a space between both these elements. Just out of that, here we add align items center. And I do this. This is going to center this title. Just after that, we select the title class. So we select the header dot title. And to this title, this one, we're going to pass font size 2.5 rem and font width is going to be bold. And I save the changes, we are going to have this title. Now we also have nav links here. You can notice. So if I select that nav links, so if I select the header nav links, then you can see we first going to display all the nav links in the flex direction. So we specify display flex. So we have these nav links just like this. Let me toggle this window right here on the left side. And then I'm going to specify here gap, which is 20 pixel. Just out of that, inside this nav links, we have the li tags. So let's select that. So let's copy this, paste that here, and select all the li tags. And here we specify list style. I'm going to remove this dot right from this li tag. So we specify list style none. That will remove these dots. Then specify font size 1.1 rem and font width, which is going to be 500. Then cursor is going to be pointer. And padding is going to be 10 pixel. So I'm going to add padding to the top left, bottom, and right. Just out of that, I'm going to select the nav links li tag and select the descendant anchor tag, this one. So let's copy this, paste that here, and select the descendant anchor tag. And to this anchor tag, we're just going to pass the color, which is going to be the var color, and we select the gray color here. And then we are going to do the same. So just copy this, paste that right down here. And this time I'm going to select the active class of the anchor tag. And the color is going to be the var black color. So we are just going to have this black color to the home because we have an active class to this home anchor tag. Now, just out of that, let's do the same. Just copy this, paste that here. And this time when we hover on the link tag, so we call here colon hover. When we hover on the link tag, I'm going to change the color of the anchor tag. And we specify color here, var black color. Let me save the changes. When you hover on it, you can see we have this black color here. Just out of that, we also need to specify styling to this hamburger menu. So just back to style.css, and here we specify styling to the hamburger menu. So we first select the header and then select the hamburger menu. First, we need to specify flex direction, which is column, then specify cursor, pointer, then gap is going to be 4 pixel, and then position is going to be relative. And at the end, we're going to pass the Z index 100. You may notice that we don't have a flex to this hamburger menu. And without the flex direction won't work. So you have to pass here display flex first. I'm going to add here display flex and move to the span tag, this one. I'm going to style this span tag. So just copy this, paste that here, and then specify the descendant span tag. So select all the descendant span tag of hamburger menu and then specify width to it. Width is going to be 30 pixel. height is going to be 3 pixel, and pass a background color, which is a black color, something like this, and add transition to all 0.3 second. Let me save the changes. You can notice I'm going to have this hamburger menu here. Now, because we have a desktop viewport, I don't want to display this hamburger menu. I just want to display this hamburger menu only when we have a mobile viewport. So just for that, instead of display flex, we pass here display none. So we are going to hide this hamburger menu and display only when we have a mobile viewport. So just save the changes and hide this hamburger menu, something like this. Now, just out of that, oops, I think I misspelled here. We need to add some space between these links. So this is going to be gap. Gap is going to be 20 pixel. You can see we have some gap between all these tags. You can notice. Once we have all the styling, we also need to add style to this wrapper, this O container, this first wrapper container of this template. So back to the style.css, and at the top inside this, I'm going to add here a dot and say O container and specify background. Background is going to be a linear color, linear gradient. So we call here linear gradient, something like this, and then pass here a linear gradient color, something like this. And just out of that, here we pass max height is going to be 200 viewport height, the maximum height of this container. Now that's upon you. You can specify and store this value inside a variable as well. Now, because we are using this value only once in a lifetime, we are storing this directly inside this class. Now, when I save the changes, we are going to have this background color to this header. So now the header is something look like this. Now let's move to the home section of this template. Now let's move to the main section of this template. Inside the main section, here we have the hero section, the image section, then we have some work section, the brand section, the recent projects, and a footer. So let's build all these inside the main section. So let's back to the unfinished template, and then we are going to back to the index.html. Now let's toggle this window, minimize this header, because now header is successfully completed. And inside this div, inside this container, right down here, we are going to add a comment. So just copy this, paste it right down here, and this is going to be the main section. So we call here main, copy this, paste it down here. This indicates this is the closing main section. And inside this main section, we have a different sections. So inside this main tag, we have a different section. So we first create here a main tag with the ID main. And inside this main, we are going to have different sections. So first we have a hero section. So we add here a comment and say this is going to be the hero section. Just copy this and paste that right here to indicate this is the closing hero section. And now inside this hero section, here we have a section tag and then specify ID to it. ID is going to be hero section. Now that's upon you. You can specify any ID to this hero section. But now we're going to add some classes to it. And here we add some classes. So class is going to be center all and inline padding, which you already have to this header, this class. Inside this section, we have these titles, you can notice. And at the background, we have this SVG image. So inside this here, we add a division tag with the class content title. And inside this content title, we have a paragraph with the class subtitle. And then we add here animate class. Just after that, we add here a span tag with creators house, something like this. And then just down here, we add here text container class. And inside that, we have different h1 heading tag with some classes. So first, we add a class called primary title and animate. So we have both these classes to this h1. Then I'm going to add a span tag right inside this h1, just like this. So I'm going to copy and paste a text inside this span tag, something like this. And then I'm going to duplicate this h1 heading tag and do the same for all the titles. So just copy and paste my rest of the title just down here as it is. You can notice all the h1 tags are similar but with the different text. We have the same class primary title and this animate class. Just after that, once we complete this content title, just down here before this closing section, here we add a division tag with the class line vertical for V. So we just add here line V. This is going to add a vertical line inside this template. We're going to add a styling to this line V inside this style.css. So let's save the changes. So we have these titles here, you can notice. Back to the style.css. And here inside this button and title styling, we add style to this primary section. So we're simply going to create different global classes inside this section. So first, we are going to create a class called primary title. Now you can notice we have this class right here, primary title. Now to this primary title, we specify font size, which is 4.5 rem. Then add font width 500. Then we add letter spacing -3 pixel. Then I'm going to add line height 85 pixel and margin top, which is going to be 20 pixel. At the end, I'm going to add text from uppercase. Just out of that, we need to center everything. So you can see we have a class called center all. So let's use this center all class. So just copy it just out of this primary title. Here we call dot center all, and then specify here display flex direction column, align items center, and justify content center. Then we add padding top to it. Padding top is going to be 60 pixel. Along with that, we add text align center. And then just out of that, right down here, just out of this center all, I'm going to select this subtitle, this one. So instead of creating this subtitle right down here, just like this, if you're using a latest CSS, you can easily select the subtitle right down here as well. So if I call here dot subtitle, then this is also a valid CSS. So if I pass here font size 24 pixel, save the changes, then we have this font size to this text. You can notice. Then I'm going to add here font width 600 and padding bottom is going to be 10 pixel. Save the changes. So we have the styling to this text. You can notice. Now, just out of that, I'm also going to add some classes right down here. So we add a primary class, primary button. So we create a class called primary button and add background color. Just out of that, we also have a class here called line V. So let's create that class right down here. We call line V and then specify here height, which is 80 pixel. Then width is going to be 2 pixel. Then add some background color, which is a variable black color. And then margin block, which is going to be 80 pixel. Let me save the changes. We have this vertical line here. Just out of that, inside this index, here we have a content title. So let's select that and pass styling to this section. Now, as you know, to this primary title, we already have a styling. You can notice I already have this class right here. So just down here, I'm going to say here content title. So just copy this content title and create a class here, content title. And then inside that, we have a class called primary title. And to this primary title, we say font size 7 rem, just like this. Then add line height, which is going to be 85 pixel, and overflow hidden. And just out of that, as you know, if you are using a latest CSS, then you can easily access this span tag. So just call here span and say display block. Just after that, inside this content title, right down here, just after this primary title here, I'm going to add subtitle and then add overflow hidden. And then inside that, we have a span tag. So select that and say display block. Now, just after that, just after this subtitle here, I'm going to create a class called secondary title. So if you have a class called secondary title, inside the content title, we specify font size 4.5 rem and line height 55 pixel. That's it. The section is now slightly ready. You can notice. So now we just need to add some styling. So just back to the style.css, scroll down. Now this header is now successfully ready. So just scroll down and at the end right here, I'm going to add a comment. So just copy this header comment as it is, scroll down and paste that comment here. And this is for the hero section. So the hero section style starts right from here. So first we select the hero section. We select the hero section with the ID, this one, the hero section ID. So we copy and paste that hero section ID here and then specify height to it. Height is going to be 92 viewport height. And I save the changes. You can see we're going to have some height to this section. Just out of that, inside this hero section, right down here, I'm going to select the content title and specify position relative. Z index is going to be 1. Then color is going to be the black color and text align center. Save the changes and here we have this result. And now you can see the hero section is now slightly ready. We're going to add all the animations later in this course. Just for now, let's move to the next section. So here we add the image and then add all these titles. So let's see how to add this and create this inside this template. Now, once we build the hero section of this template, let's move on and create this image and the rest of this template. So let's back to the unfinished template. And right here, I'm going to back to the index.html and then I'm going to create the image section right down here. So let's copy this, paste it just down here, and then specify here a section called image. Let's copy this, paste it down here, and add here a / that indicates this is the closing image section. So here we call the section, then we call ID to it. ID is going to be image section. Here inside this, we simply going to add a division tag with the class image content. And to add padding to it, we call inline padding class. And inside this, we have a division tag with the class overlay. Now we are using this division overlay class to add the overlay for the clipping effect. So just for now, I'm going to save these changes and back to the style.css. And inside the style.css, just down here, I'm going to copy this comment, paste it here, and then here we say the image style. And we first select the image section. As you know, if we back to the index.html, here we have the image section ID. Just copy it, paste that here. Once we select it, we need to add some padding block to it. Padding block is going to add padding to the top and bottom section. So we add padding block 100 pixel just down here. Then add display flex. Then add justify content center. And then align items center. And then we need the gradient color to this section. So we're just going to add here a background color with a linear gradient color. So we pass this gradient color. You can see I have this gradient color right down here. Now just after that, let's select the overlay division tag. So inside this section, inside this ID here, we're going to copy this overlay class, something like this, and then specify position relative. Z index is going to be 2. Then add width 60, viewport width and height is going to be 750 pixel. Now, just for that, we also need the background image. So the background image is going to be inside the URL. So the single quote, we say dot / specify assets. And inside that, we have this img1.jpg file. Let's select that, save the changes, and scroll down. Here you can see, let me add some styling to it. So just down here, just out of this height, we first specify some border radius, which is 30 pixel. Then we add background color, which is the fallback color of this image. Then we add background size, cover. Save the changes, scroll down. You can see we have the result what we want. So when I scroll down, I'm going to increase the width of this image. So let me show you. When I scroll down, you can see I'm going to increase the width of this image as soon as I scroll down. And I'm going to add this effect to this image later in this course. Just for now, I'm going to leave this section as it is and move to the next section. So in the next section, we are going to add the work section. Right down here, I'm going to copy this command, paste it down here, and I'm going to change this to work. Paste that down here and close this. And inside this, here we create a tag called section with the ID work section, and we center everything. So we add a class called center all. We already have this class inside style.css to center everything. And then we are going to add this title section, this content title section. We're going to copy this section and paste that inside this work section. Now, if you back to the finished template, then you'll notice this section is exactly the same of this hero section, just like this, but with some different font size and font width. So I'm going to copy the same thing right down here. So I'm going to just copy and paste that content class here with different text. You can notice we have some different text here. You have to just change this text according to your need. Once we close this content title, right down here, we have here a button. So we call here a button tag with the class called primary btn. And then we add here anchor tag and then specify here read more. And at the end, just out of this button, we have a division tag with the class line width. We have a vertical line here at the end of this section. Now when I save the changes, when I scroll down, you can see we have the section completely ready. We just need to add a few styling here. So just back to the style.css, copy this section, paste that here, and this is the work style. So we call here work style. So I'm going to scroll down here. We select the work section, then add height to it, which is 82 viewport height, then add justify content, initial, just like this. And then background color is going to be the gradient, linear gradient color. So we call here background linear gradient. When I say the changes, we have this linear background gradient color. Just after that, we select the client and specify margin top for rem. Now we have to back to the style, scroll up, and in the global section right here, we need to change a few things here. Now you can notice we have this property here called list style 55 pixel, which is not a valid property. If I scroll down, we don't have any property effect to this section. This is not a list type. This is going to be line height, which is going to be 55 pixel. And I save the changes, you can see we have the result what we want. Just out of that, right down here, we need to create a primary btn class. So we create here a primary btn. We first call the background color, which is the white color. So we specify white color to the button, then specify color, which is a variable, black color, then add padding, which is going to be 16 pixel and 24 pixel. Then we add border radius 50 pixel and border is going to be none. Then we add font size 1.1 rem, font width 600, and font family is going to be var font family. Then we add a cursor, pointer, and margin top is going to be 5 rem. Save the changes. When I scroll down, here we have the button. You can notice. The next section, we are going to add this title and all these brands with the animation. So let's see how to do it. Now, let's move to the next section where we're going to have this brand and this title. And I'm going to back to the index.html. Minimize this section, just copy this comment and paste that just down here. This is going to be the brand section. We call here brand. Just copy this, paste that right down here. So here we first say section, and then I'm going to specify here ID, which is brand, and then specify some classes. So we call center all class to center everything, and then add a division tag with the class called client. And then inside that, I'm going to copy and paste the division tag with the content title. You already have this class right up here. You can see you can copy this class and paste that right down here, but just change the text. Now let me save the changes. When I save the changes, you can see we have this text here. You can see now just out of that, just after this client right down here, I'm gonna add here a division tag with the class branding, and then add here a class called scroll and logos. We added two classes to this div, just like this, and then add here the first set of images. So we call here first set of images. So here we have a flex class with logos slide. So we create a division tag with the class flex and logos slide. And inside that, we have different IMGs. So we have here brand one. So inside the source attribute here, we call dot / select the asset folder and select my images. So I'm going to select the SVG export from 5. So we select SVG export 5, duplicate this. This is the brand 2. Then change this to SVG export 6. Duplicate this. This is became 3. And change this to 7. And I'm going to do the same for all the images. So I'm going to copy and paste all my images right down here. Something like this. When I save the changes, you can see I'm going to have all my brands right down here. Don't worry, you can download all these images from the link provided in the description. You have to just join the Patreon and download all these images. Once you have all your SVGs, save the changes, back to the style.css and style this section. So just scroll down and just copy this, paste it down here. And this is the brand style right down here. Very first thing we need is to select the brand ID. So here we say hash brand ID, and then we specify here logos. We select the class called logos and then say overflow hidden, then add padding, which is 15 rem to the top and bottom and 0 for the left and right. So I'm going to add here background color. So I'm going to paste the background color here, something like this. Then white space is going to be no wrap. And then I'm going to add position relative. And just after that, right down here, I'm going to copy these logos as it is and add before and after pseudo selector. So we select here before, duplicate this and after. And here we add position absolute. Top is going to be 0. Then add width 2. 50 pixel and height is going to be 100%. Then add content, which is none, and then z index is going to be 2. And to this before and after content, we are going to pass the background linear gradient. So just copy this, paste it here, and then specify left 0 and background gradient. So I'm going to copy and paste the background gradient right here, and do the same for the after pseudo selector as well. So I'm going to copy and paste the outer pseudo selector with the property called right 0 and the gradient color. Just out of that, I'm going to select the brand again and then select the logos slide, this class, this one. I'm going to copy this, pass that here, logo slide, and then specify here display inline block, and animation is going to be 35-second slide infinite linear. And at the end, we select this logo slide and select the IMGs, and then height is going to be 50 pixel and margin is going to be 0 to the top and bottom and 40 pixel to the left and right. So we add some margin here, you can notice, and add the before and after pseudo selector. You can notice we have some shadow right here, we have some gradient here. So we have done this with this statement, you can notice. Let me copy this, paste that here. We need to add animation to this section. So to add animation to it, I'm going to add a keyframe. So call here add keyframe. Then we need to specify identifier, which is slide. Make sure the name of this slide is exactly same to this animation. So we pass here a slide and create the slide keyframe here. And then we say here from transform translate x is going to be 0. Copy this and pass here 2. Translate x is going to be minus 100%. Let me save the changes. Scroll down. You can see we have this scrolling animation. Now you can notice this is not the infinite scrolling. This animation ends right here. So what we need to do is we need to duplicate and clone this section and add just after this tag once the animation finish. So instead of restarting this animation, I'm going to make this animation completely infinite. So we're going to do that later. Just for now, let's move to the next section. So here we add the recent projects. Now, once you understand how to create this brand section, let's take a look at how to create this recent post. Here, I'm going to minimize this brand section just like this. Copy this command, paste it just down here, and then specify here recent projects. Then I'm going to copy this, paste it just down here as it is. And now just after that, inside this, here we create a section and then specify here ID recent project. And then inside this, here we add h1 heading tag with the class call primary title. And then we specify here text recent project. Save the changes. Here you can see we have this title, and just down here we create a division tag with the class grade and inline padding. Then we create a grade class, and inside that we have grade item. And inside this grade item we have article with the class called article. And then inside that we have the image, and inside this image, and to this image we're simply going to pass the asset, the article folder, and inside that we have the images. So we select the first image just like this, and just after this article here we add h4 heading tag and specify the lorem text. So we just call lorem sit. Just after that, let me duplicate this item. So copy this, paste it down here, Then get rid of this image. And this time I'm going to select the second image and change the title. Just like this. So let me do the same for all the images. So let me copy and paste all 3 remaining division tags just like this and save the changes. When I save the changes, I'm going to have the result something like this. You can see we have all these images here. Now at the end, just after this division tag, the end of this division tag, right down here, we create a button with the class primary btn and then specify text here in the anchor tag. So in the anchor tag, we specify text C all. So we have this button here, you can notice. Now just out of that, back to the style.css. Just down here, we are going to add the project. So just copy the command, paste that here and say here, recent project style. Now here we add hash recent project and then inside it, we add height 95, viewport height. Then I'm going to add display, which is going to be flex, justify content center, then add flex direction, which is column. Then align items is going to be center and text align center. So this will center everything, you can notice. Then inside that, as you know, we have a grade class. So you select a grade, or you can select this grade just like this as well. But I'm going to choose the latest approach. So select the grade, then add display grade, and grade template columns is going to be repeat 5 column with 1 fr. So create 5 equal column inside this grade. So when I save the changes, you can see we have 5 equal columns inside this grade. Just out of that, here we add some gap to it. Gap is going to be 30 pixel. So we have some gap between these images. Now, just out of that, I'm going to select the article. So scroll down here. I'm going to say article. So I'm going to select this class article, this one, and then to this article, I'm going to specify max width. Max width is going to be 320 pixel. Then add max height, which is 820 pixel. So we add maximum height and width to this article. Then just out of that, we add width to 60 pixel and height 433 pixel. Then we add border radius 50 pixel and margin top is going to be 6 rem. Just out of that, we add overflow hidden and cursor is going to be pointer. Just out of that, we also have item inside this grid. So let's select that item. So dot item, select h4 heading tag, this one, and then specify here padding block, which is going to be 10 pixel. Just out that, inside this article, right here, we have all the images. So select all the images and then specify width 100% and height is going to be 100%. And make sure you add object fit cover, something like this. So we say object fit cover to these images. And just out of that, instead of border, here I'm going to say border radius 50 pixel, something like this. And now just out of that, I want to add gradient hover effect to this section. So we add here ampersand to select the article. So this ampersand select the article class, and to this article, when we hover on it, we add the before pseudo selector. So we select before and then say here content, see more, then add position absolute. Top is going to be 6 rem and left is going to be 0. Width is going to be 260 pixel, and height is going to be 433 pixel. Border radius 50 pixel, and we also have a background which is variable secondary gradient. Just for that, we center everything. So we say display flex, justify content center, align items center, and font family where font family. Then we specify color to it. Color is going to be white, and font size is going to be 1.2 rem. So once you done that, this is going to add hover effect to this cards. Now let's move to the next section where we're going to have this beautiful footer. So let's see how to add this footer to this template. Now let's see how you can create this footer in this unfinished template. So I'm going to back to the index.html, minimize this recent post, and just after this main section right down here, inside this div, here we create a footer with the ID footer. And inside this footer, we need to first create here a division tag with the class footer content. And then inside this footer content, we are going to have this title. As you know, we already have this title at the top. You can notice. So we copy this text, but with different text, and paste that right down here. So I'm going to copy and paste the content right inside this div, something like this. So now when I save the changes, I'm going to have this title here. Now just after that, just after this footer, here we add a button with the text with the class primary btn, and then we have anchor tag here, and inside this anchor tag we have svg. So I'm going to copy and paste a simple svg inside this anchor tag, something like this. Save the changes, and you can see we have this svg here, and just after that, just after this button right down here, we have a line width. Save the changes. Here we have a line. Once we center everything, you can see that line. But just for now, just after this div right down here, we add a class called inline padding, and then create info division tag here. And inside that, we have a space div. Inside that space, we have a paragraph with a gray color class. And then I'm going to add here a text. I'm just going to add a text here, something like this. Then I'm going to add h1 heading tag with some text. So right down here, I'm going to add h1 heading tag with some text. And I'm also going to add here h1 heading tag right down here. And add here text drafting. And in the span tag, I'm going to put draw a line, something like this. And make sure you specify here style. Style is going to be color white, something like this. Save the changes. We have this text here, you can notice. Just after that, just after this space, right down here, we create another space class. Oops, we create here space, and then add a paragraph with some text. So just copy this and paste that right here. And then I'm going to add h1 heading tag and then specify the title of the template. When I save the changes, here we have the site title. Just out of this div, right down here, we add hline division tag, something like this. And at the end, we create a div with the class rights and gray color. And inside that, we have a paragraph with the text 2024 production house. And then add here a division tag with the class social and add some social icons here. So in the anchor tag, I'm going to put some social icons just like this. So we just call anchor tag with the class gray color and then add Instagram and Facebook icon. You can put your links right inside this href attribute. That's upon you. And then add a paragraph just after this div and add some text here. That's it. Your footer is now completely ready. Let me save the changes. And now let me style this footer. So just down here, don't forget to first copy this command and paste it just down here. So we call here footer. Now, right down here, we call hash footer. Then we call background is going to be linear background. So we call here a linear background color and paste that right here. Just like this. Just out of that, we add height to it, which is 90 viewport height. And width is going to be 100%. And just out of that, we add some margin top property, which is 170 pixel. Save the changes. This will add some margin here. Just out of that, we add here footer content class. This one, the footer content, this class. And to this footer content, we specify display flex direction, column, justify content center, and align items center. And then we say text line center to center everything. So this will center all the text. You can notice. Just out of that, just out of this footer, we select the info class and then specify display flex, justify content, space between, align items, and save the changes. So we have this text on the right side of the viewport. Just out of that, inside this info, we have a space class. So we select the space, then select the H1 heading tag, and then select the font size 2.5 rem, and font width is going to be 500. Save the changes. So we have this text, something like this. Just down here, just out of this info, right down here, we select H line class and then specify height, which is 2 pixel, then specify width 100%, and background color is going to be the var gray color. And then we add some margin block. So this will add top and bottom margin 10 pixel. Save the changes. Then at the end, we select rights class and then specify display flex and justify content space between. Save the changes. So we have the result something like this. Now what I want to put all these lines and this div inside this inline padding. So just down here, I have to put this line just like this and this division tag as well. Something like this. As you can see, we have the result what we want. And at the end, I want to make this horizontal line vertical. So to do that, just back to the style.css, scroll up and back to your line V right here, comma, and say dot line h. And then select this line h, paste that here, and then specify here width 80 pixel and height 2 pixel. Save the changes. You can see we have this vertical line here. Along with that, we also need a class called gray color, which is going to be the color of gray color. Save the changes and we have the result what we want. So we successfully built this template. Now we just need a few things to finish this template. We need to add this background SVG, add animation to this complete template, then add infinite scroll to this brand, and finish this template with the complete smooth scrolling animation. So let's see how we can do it with JavaScript. Once we finish everything, we need to get started first with the navigation menu. So if you open this template in the mobile view, then we'll notice everything is scattered, and we need to make this template completely responsive for all the devices. And we also need to make sure that we have all these links inside the hamburger menu. So to solve this problem and to make this complete template responsive, I'm going to make here a new file and name this file responsive.css. And then I'm going to link that file to the index.html. So scroll up And just out of this style.css, here we call link responsive.css. Back to the responsive.css, and here we are going to first create here a media query for 798 pixel. So I'm going to add here at media only screen. We call here max width. Max width is going to be 798 pixel. And inside this, we're going to specify different styling to this section. So first, we select the inline padding. So this is going to allows us to add padding inline 10 pixel. So we just remove padding from this section. You can notice we just remove this left and right padding. Then we select the nav links and then specify here display none. Then flex direction is going to be column, align item center, justify content center, and we also add a position which is absolute, top 0 pixel, and right is going to be 0 pixel. After that, we add background. Background is going to be white. Then we add padding 10 pixel. So this will add top, left, right, and bottom padding. And then we add height 100 viewport height. Then we add width 100%. And we add some box shadow here. So we are going to add some box shadow right here. And we add border radius, which is 5 pixel. Save the changes, and you can see we have this navigation menu. Now let me change the font size of this menu. So scroll down here. I'm going to say nav links dot active, and for the active we specify display flex. Then we select the hamburger menu. We select hamburger menu, specify display flex, and then we select the nav links li and anchor tag, and then we specify font size to wrap. Save the changes. So here we have the navigation item. Just out of that, just out of this nav links, just down here we select the header, and inside this header we select padding block, which is 10 pixel, and scroll now is going to be, and then I'm going to select title and say display none. Save the changes. So this is going to hide the scroll now title. Now just out of that, we need to add here hamburger menu. So we need to just add here, select the hamburger menu, but we specify display text here. So you can see we have this hamburger menu at the top of this viewport. You can notice. And now when you click on it, when I click on it, I'm going to display the navigation items and hide the navigation items when we click on the hamburger menu again. So to do that, we are using JavaScript. So back to the project and create a new file called script.js. Make sure you link this file first to the bottom, at the bottom of the template right here. You add script with the source attribute script.js. Now back to the script.js. Here I'm going to add a comment, a multi-line comment, just like this, and add here navigation. So here we first select the document dot query selector, then we select the hamburger menu. We say add event listener, and we are going to add click event, and we call the listener function. So we call a here function, something like this, and inside this function I'm going to say constant now links is equal to document dot query selector, and in the single quote we say now links. Just out of that we say now links dot class list dot toggle, and in the parentheses all the active class. So we're just going to add the active class to the nav links whenever we click on this hamburger menu. And now when you click on this hamburger menu, you can see this is going to collapse the navigation items. So just back to the responsive.js, and right here, just inside this media query, here we add a comment, and here I'm going to say hero section, something like this. And here we first select the content title, and then I'm going to change few properties of this content title class. If you back to the style.css, scroll up, then you will notice we have this content title class. We are just going to add and change a few properties of this content title. So I'm going to copy and paste and change few properties of this content title. We changed font size, line height, and change this font size as well of the secondary title as well. Now save the changes. We have the results something like this. We are going to change the properties of the primary title as well. So I'm going to copy and paste and change few properties of this primary title. I'm going to change few properties of this primary title class. Just after that, in the responsive.css file, we're also going to change image section and change few properties of the image section. So we are going to change and specify padding block 20 pixel, and overlay width is going to be 90, viewport width and height 210 pixel. We'll do the same for the recent project as well. So we're going to change few properties of the recent project. Height is going to be auto, and grid is going to be repeat 1 FR. So I'm going to display only one column in the recent project. Just out that, I'm going to change the footer as well. So to the footer, I'm simply going to change the height to auto, and then specify here info, display flex direction column, and put everything at the start using align item flex start. And I'm going to center the rights as well. And at the end, I'm going to change few things of branding as well. I'm going to change and specify max with 100% and change the background of these logos, the before content of this branding. Save the changes, and now you can see the site is now slightly ready for the mobile devices. Now, just out of that, once we have the menu, let's create and add animation to this template using GSAP Animation. So let's see how we can add GSAP Animation and add beautiful animation to this template. Now, let's take a look at how you can create this beautiful animation to your template using GSAP. So you have to just search for gsap.com. Using this GSAP library, you can make a beautiful animations with JavaScript. So just click on docs and link the GSAP to your template. So just click on installation, and from the installation, you have to get the CDN of GSAP. I already have a complete tutorial on GSAP. You can check out that video from the link provided in the description. So when you click on installation, you have to scroll down, and here you have the CDN. Click on CDN and check this scroll trigger box. Then you have to copy these statements back to your template, open the index.html, scroll down, and before your script, right here, you have to paste both these scripts, just like this. Save the changes and back to the script.js file. That's it. And right down here, I'm going to add here a multi-line comment and add here GSAP Animation. Now, if you don't know anything about GSAP, then I have a complete tutorial on it. You can check out that video from the top right corner of the screen or from the link provided in the description. First thing we need is to animate these titles, this one. So to animate these titles, I'm simply going to first create here a variable constant elements is equal to, and pass an array here. We select the hero section. As you know, we have this text inside this hero section. So we select the hero section, and inside that we have this animate class. And I'm going to select this span tag of this animate. So just open the script.js. Here we first select the hero section, then select the animate, and then select the span tag. Once you select that, and here you have to say elements dot for each, and then call here a function with selector. So we call here function with the selector and then call here GSAP dot from. You call here a selector and then add different animation to this element. So you first add here y property, which is 300. So we're just going to pass here translate y 300 pixel. Rotation is going to be 15. Then I'm going to add duration 4. Then add stager 0.2 and ease. Ease is going to be forward 4 out. Just out of that, we say here scroll trigger, and then inside the scroll trigger, we call the trigger property. And we trigger this on selector. Then we say here start. We start the animation when the top of the element reaches to the 120% of the viewport. And we say here end. We end the animation when the bottom of the element reaches to the 90% of the viewport. Just out of that, we say here toggle actions, and in the double quote we say play, none, none, and none. So this is going to execute this animation only once when we reload the page. When I save the changes, you can see we have this beautiful animation to this hero section. Now let's do the same for all these titles. Instead of creating all these, we can add different sections inside this array. So we are simply going to add a different section right inside this array, just like this. We are going to add a work section, select the animate class and the span tag, and do the same for the brand. So this is going to add the animation to every section of the template. You can notice. If I reload the browser, you can see we have this animation to all these titles. Now, just out of that, let's add animation to this image. So just back to this template, copy this, paste it down here. This is going to be the image animation. So what we are going to do is we need the GSAP first, GSAP.to, and then we select the image. So we select the image section first, and inside that we have the overlay class. So we select that overlay class and then pass here comma and pass an object here. Now inside this object, we're simply going to call scroll trigger colon an object. Now we trigger this animation on the image section. We're going to execute and trigger this animation when the image section is in the viewport. Then we start this animation when the top of the element reaches to the 90% of the viewport. And then we end the animation when the bottom of the element reaches to the bottom of the viewport. And at the end, we say here scrub 1 to make the animation smooth. And then here we pass a comma and say here width colon in the single quote 86 viewport width. So we're going to increase the width of this image using this statement. Save the changes. Now you can see when I scroll down, we're going to increase the viewport just like this. Now, just out of that, we also need to add animation to these cards. So to add animation to these cards, we are using the same technique. So we are going to copy this, paste it down here. Then we say here cards animation. So right here we say GSAP dot from to, and then in a single quote we select recent project dot grade dot item, and here we say opacity 0, and then y is going to be 100. Just out of that, here we call a comma and pass an object again. And inside this object, we say opacity 1, y property is going to be 0, duration is going to be 1, and stager is going to be 0.2. So I want to start this animation one by one. So I pass here stager 0.2, and then I'm going to copy this scroll trigger and pass that here. Instead of this image section, we pass recent project grid, and then I'm going to leave the start top as it is, and then change this to 70%, and bottom is going to be 70%. I'm going to get rid of this crop, and I'm going to copy this property, this toggle action property, and paste that here. So I wanted to just execute this animation only once when the page reload. Save the changes. Now, just for that, I want to make this brand section completely infinite. So to do that, right down here, I'm going to copy this, paste it just down here, and say here brand clone. And then here we say var or let copy is equal to document dot query selector. In the double quote, we say logos hyphen slide. And then I'm going to call here dot clone node true. So this is going to make a clone of this logos slide. And then I'm going to say here document dot query selector. In a single quote, we say logos dot append child, and then we say here copy. We're going to append this node inside this logos, just like this. Save the changes, and now you can see we have this infinite brand scrolling. Now, just out of that, at the end, what I want to make this scrolling smoother. So what I'm going to do is I'm using a library called Linus. You open the linus.darkroom.engineering, then you can find this beautiful library of scrolling. So this is a smooth scrolling library. You can see this library allows us to make a smooth scrolling. Just click on this check it on GitHub, and you have to just copy the CDN. We have to copy this script. So just copy it back to the template, open the index.html, scroll down, and here you have to paste that script tag as it is back to your script, just down here. I'm going to copy this, paste that here, and here I'm going to say smooth scrolling. And what you have to do is you have to just copy this statement. So this is the basics of initialization of this Linus library, and paste that right here, and then get rid of this auto ref, specify here duration 6. Then you have to just copy this function, this use request frame animation, this function, just copy it and get rid of this on scroll. Just get rid of it and paste this function here. Now that's it. Your smooth scrolling is now completely ready. Now when I save the changes, back to my template, and I scroll down, you can see I'm going to have this beautiful smooth scrolling. Now at the end, we have to create and add this background SVG, which is interact with the mouse. So let's see how we can add this to this template. So when I move my mouse, you can see in the background we have this SVG interaction. So let's see how we can do this in this template. So you have to back to the index.html, scroll up and back to the hero section. Right inside this hero section, we're going to add assets image2.svg here. So I'm going to copy that SVG and paste that right here. Now you will notice I just have made a few changes in this SVG. I've added here ID, overlay SVG, then add some width and height to it, remove some paths from it, and add this linear gradient to this SVG. So what you have to do is you have to just simply back to the asset, click on export to SVG, copy the statement, get rid of this last path right from this SVG and paste it right here. And then you have to add this def tag and add this linear gradients. So once you've done that, save the changes and you have the result something like this. You have this SVG at the top. Now back to the style.css and open the hero section. So scroll down, you can see here we have the hero section. Here you have to select the overlay SVG ID, so just like this. And then I'm going to specify some CSS properties. So first we specify position absolute, then we specify top 0, then I'm going to add left 0, width is going to be 100%, and height is going to be 160%. And after that, I'm going to add a z index -0, and transform property is going to be perspective 1000 pixel. Save the changes, and you can see we have this SVG something like this. Now because I just added here some height and width, we are going to have this SVG, and with the z index -0, we have this SVG behind this text. Now just out of that, we need to add some animation to it. So scroll down, and here you can see I'm going to copy this comment, paste it here, and here I'm going to say SVG Mouse Animation. So right down here, we first say constant SVG. So we are going to start by selecting the SVG. So I'm going to say constant SVG is equal to document dot query selector, and then in the single quote we specify ID overlay SVG. Make sure the ID is exactly the same ID. So just copy it and paste that here. Now once we select that, you have to say document dot add event listener, and this is going to be a mouse event. So we call here mouse move event, and we call here a listener. In the parentheses, we call here two arguments. First is a client X, and second is a client Y. First for the X coordinates and second for the Y coordinates. Means now just out of that, we have to say here constant offset X is equal to, in the parentheses you call client X minus window dot inner width divided by 2, and then you have to divide this by 5. So this is going to allow us to specify speed to the coordinates. Let's do the same for the offset Y as well. So we say constant offset Y is equal to, in the parentheses we say client Y minus window dot height inner height divided by 2 and divided by 5. Just out of that, here we call a GSAP dot to animation on SVG, this variable, and then here I'm going to call comma in the object. Here we say duration 0.2 and is going to be power to out. Just after that, you also need to add here rotation. Y is going to be minus offset X multiplied by 0.1, and do the same for rotation. X is going to be offset Y multiplied by 0.1. And save the changes. We have this beautiful animation to this SVG. If you want to download this project, the link is in the description. If you find anything useful, make sure to press the like button, share this video with your friends, subscribe for more latest videos. That is all for now. I will see you in the next one.